Hello everybody, this is RikoTheFoxKid, and I have a speed run for Crash Bandicoot 2, Cortex Strikes Back. This is personally a very favorite video game of mine, and so yeah, let's just get right into it. So this is an any percent no game over abuse run. I'll get into that in a minute, and this is my third successful attempt at completing an any percent run of Crash Bandicoot 2. The first one I've done in about 2 months, and the final time is 52 minutes and 3 seconds, so about a 2.5 minute improvement over my last time of 54 minutes and 23 seconds, as you can see at the bottom of the live split, or the program on the left that is keeping track of all my times. So an any percent, no game over abuse, is, well, any percent is pretty obvious. The goal is to just get from the start of the game to the finish. In the case of Crash Bandicoot 2, the start of the game is the moment you gain control of Crash, and the end of the game is the moment you deal the final hit to Cortex in the final boss fight. And for those of you who don't know how Crash Bandicoot 2 works, every level has a purple crystal, and the basic goal of the game is to get all 25 of them from each of the levels and beat Cortex. And there are about 5 or so bosses in the middle of all of that. There are other items such as gems, but in an any percent they don't matter. No game over abuse is exclusive to Crash Bandicoot 2, and I mean exclusively to Crash 2. It's not in Crash 1, it's not in Crash 3. And what it means is, in Crash 2, there's a glitch, I guess, in the game. That was an accident, but I just went with it. Anyway, there's a glitch in Crash Bandicoot 2 where if you grab a crystal and then get a game over in the level by running out of all your lives, the game still registers the crystal as being in your inventory. So what you can do is you can grab the crystal, and most of them are about at the halfway point in a level, and then kill yourself and get a game over. And then when you revive back in the warp room, you enter a different level, and when you clear that level, you retrieve the crystal for that level and the level you got a game over with. And that can stack, so you can get a game over in about like 3 levels, and then enter a 4th one cleared, and you'll get 4 crystals. No game over abuse specifically prohibits you from using that strategy. So, yeah. In explaining that, I kind of just went through the first 2 levels. Levels go pretty quick, thanks to a lot of the movement techniques. The main one is the neutral slide spin, which is what I'm doing, where I slide and then I spin. It is the fastest way for Crash to move in the game. And the way you do it is you perform a slide, and then while you're sliding, you let go the analog stick or the D-pad, whichever one you're using. I personally use the D-pad for speedrunning because it's a little more precise, I feel. And anyway, you reset it, and I missed the crystal because I'm good. You reset the analog stick back to your neutral position so it's not in any direction, and then you hit spin. And what that does is Crash can normally do a slide spin where he'll just slide and spin, but it restores him to his running speed. If you do the neutral slide spin and let go, you maintain the momentum of the slide throughout the whole spin, which pretty much gets rid of the ending lag at the end of the slide, and it's about a little under 2 times Crash's regular running speed, so it speeds up the game very quickly. One thing that I just did at the end of that level, Hang 8, is I jumped over the gem at the end. That was the timer gem, which you were rewarded for reaching the end of the level before the timer at the bottom right runs out. I skipped it because it takes about 3 seconds for Crash to throw it back up in the warp room, so just jumping over it and wasting that second actually saves more time. So here I deviated from the level numbering order, because this is level 5 and I skipped over level 4. The level order is a little more flexible in an any percent run compared to like a 100% run for Crash Bandicoot 2. The main deciding factor in level order, or at least my main deciding factor is generally how many masks I have. The mask that follows you, Aku Aku, he pretty much grants Crash extra hit points. So if you have one, you are safe from one hit. If you get two, you're safe from 2 hits and stuff like that. But if you get 3, you turn invincible for about 20 seconds. Now that sounds really good, but it also slows down neutral slide spin to be like obnoxiously slow. So it's actually really bad in Crash 2 to ever become invincible, with the exception of one instance, which I'll get to later. So at the end of Hang 8, I had 2 masks, and there are 2 mask crates in this level, the pits, that I felt it would be easier just to go to level 5 Crash Dash, because chase levels there are no masks allowed in them, so if you enter a crate level or a chase level with masks, you'll automatically lose them. So the level order is really dependent on a lot of factors, and masks is one of them. So then this is level 4, and this is the last level of Warp Room 1. These go by pretty quickly, especially because this is an any percent run. I would have a lot more time to explain things if this was a 100%. But any percents I find are a lot easier because there's a lot less that can go wrong. 100% are a nightmare. Like, I really like doing them, but they're a pain in the ass. So something unique about the pits is that there's a fork in the road about near the beginning of the level, and to get the gem you would have to go down both. To get the crystal you have to take the left path because that's where it is. So yeah. And another technique I was talking about that I missed, those large square pits that I was just jumping out of, you normally can't jump out of those, but what you do is called a glitched high jump, where if you crouch and then perform a high jump, and then you spin right when you jump, you gain a little extra height and distance with it. So it's really good for making jumps that are normally, or at least shouldn't be, possible. So yeah, and this is the first boss fight in the game, and this is Ripperoo. It's a pretty straightforward boss, probably the easiest in the game. You just dodge where he puts his crates, wait for them to explode, and then you hit them. And the crates are always in a set place depending on how much health he has. So this is really an incredibly thoughtless fight. I honestly, most of the time when I get to this fight, I just kind of stare at my phone while it's happening. It's just that easy. So yeah, not really much to say about this. Going back to the glitch high jump, the version of Crash Bandicoot 2 that's used for speedrunning is the PAL version, which, if you don't know, that means it's the version that's distributed throughout most of Europe. And it's not the non-American version, because the American version of Crash Bandicoot, and just the American version of any game, is the NTSC version. Crash 2 uses the PAL version because, primarily, he runs and jumps slightly faster in the PAL version, which was done to compensate for the slightly lower frame rate, and that just makes the glitched high jump a lot more effective. And just like the pits that I was jumping out of in the jungle levels, you actually can't jump out of those in the American version without a body slam. So it does come in handy, and there are a couple other glitches in the PAL version that come up, particularly towards the end. So yeah, now we're in Warp Room 2, and I start with Air Crash, and this is another river level. This one's a little tricky, but it's not too bad. So here I'm gonna take my sweet time a little bit, just because if I turbo too fast, I might either hit something or I'll get stuck in between those gates, and neither of those are really desirable, so it's actually just, I find it a little better to just take my time. Same with right there. And then grab the crystal, and I missed the cycle for those 2 platforms, and I didn't want to risk it because dying would set me back probably a good 30 seconds or so. And If you're wondering about the timer on the left side of the screen, this is a program called LiveSplit. It's very, very useful for recording speedrun times, and the times that I am playing against, right now I'm playing against 10 minutes and 23 seconds in this level, that is the time it took, or that's the time I hit the last time I broke my record, so my personal best time, and that's what I'm playing against, so. Now on to level 8, Barret, and Barret is the first of 2 polar bear levels that are done in an any percent. There are 3 of them total, but one of them is a bonus level that doesn't have a crystal, so it's not done in an any percent. And the main form of movement in polar bear levels is to start up a charge, which is the circle or R1 button, and then jump immediately. The charge gives Crash a quick boost in speed, but it has lag time at the end. Like, you can't do it continuously. So the way that's circumvented is that you hit the charge and then almost immediately jump, and it maintains the momentum of the charge and lets you land with the same momentum. So it's the fastest way to get through the levels. Just kind of cruise through. At some points I might not do it just because, like right here, sometimes when I do the charge I end up missing and landing in that pool by mistake. I lose a lot of time doing that. Overall pretty straightforward. A neat little thing is that the neutral slide spin speeds up if you're on ice. So in the entire second warp room at the end, where you slide across the ice to get to the end of the level, it goes a lot faster. Okay, so this is level 9 Crash Course. This is another chase level, and I didn't really get into them when we did Crash Dash because I was talking about other things. Chase levels are a lot of memorization because you have to know, because you're coming towards the screen instead of running away from it. So you need to know where all the holes are and when the appropriate time to do the neutral slide spin is. And I actually did not have these levels memorized until like yesterday. I just decided if I'm gonna speedrun this game, I need to memorize more than just level 5. So, and yeah, those mines cost about a second if you hit them, but it's not a terribly big deal. In chase levels, you can see how much the neutral slide spin helps because I'm just kind of pulverizing the boulder and just completely running away from it, and it's supposed to be able to keep up with you. So Crash Crush is actually the only level where you can neutral slide spin under those electric fences. In any other level, if you try to neutral slide spin, you'll get hit. So you have to just regularly slide under them. Be a little careful here because it kind of snakes as a path, and then once I know it's safe, I get through. And you can see where that saved a lot of time because I saved 13.5 seconds compared to my previous run just from memorizing the level and knowing when to neutral slide spin. So it's very, very effective. And we're getting to the eel deal, which is the first sewer level. So I love the sewer levels. I think they're really cool. But when it comes to speedrunning, I despise these levels. It's just a lot of things can go wrong. They're very hard to maneuver through with the neutral slide spin if you use the D-pad, and I'm not good speedrunning this game with the control stick. That's how I normally play the game, but when I'm speedrunning, I stick with the D-pad just because I like having the straight lines when you neutral slide spin, and you can't really do that in this level because it curves a lot. And it's a lot about the cycles of the eels and getting through these fans. Eel Deal is probably the most forgiving of the 3 sewer levels. The next 2, which are in the next and 4th warp room, they're very, very unforgiving, especially if you get hit. That was supposed to be a damage boost to get through the electric water, but I did it too late, and I wasn't going to be in the electric water anyway. Right there, I decided to just waste the Aku Aku because I know how many are in the next level, but it didn't help me in the cycle at all, so in the end it was overall pointless. So I decided to be a little careful here, mainly because I would have to wait for these guys anyway, so slide spinning wouldn't really save me that much time. So overall, like the eel deal, you can blow out some masks and you'll overall be okay. In the other two sewer levels, just the way they're designed, even just losing a mask can be very, very punishing, especially because you want to enter both with double mask for various reasons. So this is the last level in the second warp room. It's another snow level. It's Snow Biz, and most of the snow levels are pretty straightforward, which is good. And these introduce the porcupine enemy. You can't really hit them if they have their spikes up, but you actually can for about the first half second that they hit up their spikes. You actually can hit them, as I did with that first one. And I waited there because a lot of the times if I don't, I just hit the stomper and then I just fall to my death. And that was the first time that ever happened to me, in that I completely botched up the timing and ran right into the stomper, and that probably cost me about 3 to 5 seconds. But it wasn't too bad. You're gonna watch me become a little careful here because I want to leave this level with at least one mask. And I can normally slide over that, but I didn't want to take my chance. The neutral slide spin lets you slide over quite a couple of holes. I was lucky and managed to get through that without getting hurt, which means we're set for the second boss fight. And just the little small improvements I made over the last run can really show if you look at the timer on the right. It's like I'm 50 seconds ahead of my previous best. So boss 2 is a little more intuitive, I guess, than boss 1. But it's still not terribly difficult. These are the Komodo brothers, so pretty much what you do is you wait for the thin guy, Joe, to stop spinning, and then you hit him into the big guy, Mo, and then you wait for him to throw his swords, and then you rinse and repeat. They actually throw the swords slower in this version compared to the American version. A couple of bosses are actually slower. It's this guy and Engine, really. It's really not worth the faster version, and the NTSC version is not worth giving up everything else that makes running this game a lot easier when you play the PAL version, so you just kind of live with it. So the biggest thing is about this boss fight is trying to stay close to Joe without actually getting hit by him. That way when he spins out, you can get him really quickly. I'm not terribly good at it, but I'm alright, I guess. Something like that. And sometimes the emulator... the emulator likes to make him spin longer than normal for whatever reason. This was not one of those times, so I was very happy. I used the PSX emulator. I think its full name is like PSX Fin, but it's actually just PSX. I use it because I have to play the PAL version, and as you can clearly tell, I am not from Europe. So, yeah. There is actually a downside to using an emulator, but I'll get into that after this sewer level. This is sewer later, and you are going to see me use damage boost a lot, which is when you intentionally hurt yourself to like use and abuse the invulnerability frames. Like right there, I just used it to get through the flame guy, where normally I would have to wait about 5 seconds for him to go through, and that's why entering this level with 2 masks and not getting unintentionally hurt is really important, because you have to be able to get through them. And that's really where this level screws me up a lot. And that was a mistake. And there is a way to get through that fan without getting hurt. I'm not very good at it, and I almost died there by that accidental body slam. But if you can do it, it makes the level even faster. But yeah. So here, I'm going to wait for this guy, because there's 3 more of them in the level, and there are 2 more masks. So I have to wait for one of them. And he's the hardest one to get past if you dodge him, so it's better to just wait for him and kill him, because you can quite easily run through the last 2, and I almost really screwed up there. there, and then I run through this guy. And then this is the last one. And that was not my best run of Sewer Layer, but it could have been a lot worse. So I was happy with it. Except for the timer didn't really input my telling them to go to the next split. So the reason an emulator is actually kind of bad to use is that PlayStation 2s, like the actual system, have an option called fast disk speed. And what it does is it causes PlayStation 1 discs to spin at the same speed that PlayStation 2 discs do, and as a result you drastically reduce loading times. In that at the beginning, where there was about 15 seconds of just before the game actually began, you can cut that down to about 13 or 12 seconds with the fast disk speed. And I know for a 100% run, fast disk speed can save upwards of 6 minutes just by reducing loading times that much. So it is actually a major hindrance to not use it, but I don't want to spend the money on a European PlayStation 2 and a European copy of Crash Bandicoot 2 until I'm like really good at this. Like 52 minutes is impressive for I think that was my first accidental death, which is coming this far into the run. For me to have that be my first time dying was I was impressed with that, and that's why I kept going. But 52 minutes is impressive to like a casual gamer, because when I play Crash Bandicoot 2, I can, if I'm taking it slow, it can take me several hours to finish this game. So yeah, that's impressive, but the world records for this game were like 41 minutes and stuff, and so I don't think I'm that good yet, so I don't want to spend the money on that stuff. The emulator makes it easier, and I'm willing to take the downside of it. And that was Bear Down. And that was the last entire Polar Bear level in the run. And this is Road to Ruin. This level is a lot more annoying in a 100% run. I find it more or less manageable in an 80%. So it's a very, very straightforward level. The straight lines really play to the advantage of the D-pad here. I'm gonna do a glitch high jump there, and just saves a little time by cutting that corner. And you normally can't get over the fire, but the glitch high jump lets you do so, and I had to fix my positioning there. You can actually neutral slide spin down those platforms if you're careful. I'm gonna wait for this here because the next level I'm entering is Plant Food, and the more masks I have entering that level, the better, because there's a lot that can go wrong in that level. So, and that was Road to Ruin. And then this is the last river level. It's Plant Food. This one has the unfortunate tendency to really want to kill you, and I got the bad cycle this time around, so I had to wait. I play it safe at the beginning of the level just because I really don't want to die. It's just like entering this level and clearing it without a mask is not impossible. It's just very hard. Wait for those there. On the off chance that I had gotten hit, I could have picked up that mask. I generally get hit there at some point, so that's why I wanted to hold on to the mask. And then here's one part that's tricky. There's a part at the end where you want to try and get past the plants. Somehow I pulled it off. I don't normally do. I usually get hit there, and here is where having a mask is critical, because dodging those plants without a mask is effectively impossible. And what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to kill them and that's wastes way too much time. So, and dodged another timer gem there just because, like I said, it wastes too much time to pick it up as opposed to just run around it or jump over it. And this is the last chase level in the game. This is Unbearable. This is personally probably my favorite level in the game, just because it is just so many awesome things about it. It's a chase level. You're getting chased by a bear. There's a really cool death route, like a secret route, but you don't use it in at any percent, unfortunately. It's pretty cool. This one's actually a lot more straightforward than Crash Crush, the one before it. It's just a lot of going straight and just knowing when to get through holes, and Crash Crush is a lot more erratic in the placement of its holes. Unbearable, there's really only one spot where you have to be really careful. The rest of it's pretty easy, and third time for good measure. Get that checkpoint just in case. Jump right there. This is the part that's a little erratic and you have to be a little more careful. It's just holes everywhere. But then after that part, it just gets pretty simple. So you hit the gate and you jump over that hole. The fence. Then this is the coolest part of the level. You get chased by the bear while you're on the bear. That's the entirety of Warframe 3. And here's, usually when I save that many seconds, I usually had a death somewhere. In the case of Unbearable, it was also definitely a factor of me actually knowing the layout of the level and being able to slide spin through it. So that's where a lot of my time saving comes from, is just getting past accidental deaths. So this is the third boss. This is Tiny. This boss is entirely RNG, random number generator. It's very random. The platforms that fall, then you have to make them chase after you and fall down them. The ones that drop are entirely random. So this can either save you a lot of time, or it can kill you, and like it can kill your run, and there's really nothing you can do about it. It kind of sucks. I got a really godlike setup this time around. It just worked perfectly. This last part is the worst, just his last hit point, because if any of the corners drop, you pretty much have to wait because you're not going to make him jump through it. I fortunately got the best place for him to drop, which is the center, and then the game decided to be even nicer to me and make it so I could stay on the platform I was on instead of having to find the next one. So that was easily the best Tiny run I have ever had. And it saved a lot of time compared to my previous personal best run where I had a really bad RNG for Tiny. So this is Warframe 4. I'm going to deviate from the level order I have in the live split compared to the actual order in which I go through the levels, and there's a reason for this, and I'll get into it. So Digging It is a very, very annoying level because there are just everything in this level is trying to kill you. And unfortunately, to do this level effectively, you have to not get hit. So you can't like fall into a hole or die, and you also just can't get hurt because you want to leave with 2 masks, and there's only 2 in the level. So pretty much you have to play this level perfectly. And I play a little safe there. I got a good cycle for the electric fence. So it's a lot of weaving and maneuvering through stuff, and those plants that are dropping the bombs are also random, so sometimes the game can just screw you over by putting you in a place that's really hard to get through. So those are little small beehives. They're one bee that chases after you. They're pretty negligible. I get another good cycle of that, and I have to wait for this one, and then I just hit the bee. The bees here aren't really a threat. The bees in the other level like this, those are a threat, but we'll get to that later. This red dirt you can actually dig under, hence the term, or the name of the level, digging it, but that wastes a lot of time. So like I said, I'm going to deviate from level order. I'm deviating it because I got hit. So the next level on the list is Hanging Out, and like I said, you have to enter that level with 2 masks. And because I can't, because I only have a single mask and there's no other ones in the level, I'm deciding in order to save this run, because having 2 masks and Hanging Out saves several seconds in time, I'm deciding to attempt every other level until I leave one with 2 masks, and then I'll go visit Hangout. Level 4 is the most flexible in terms of level order in an 90% run. You can really approach it in any order with the exception of you can't go to Hanging Out first. So I'm going to Cold Hard Crash instead. And in this level it's very important that I don't die, because I'm actually going to use the level's death route to get through the level, because it skips about 2/3 of the level, if I'm not mistaken. It's faster to go through the alternate route than it is to take the normal path. So not dying in this level is very important. I wait for those icicles because, as I said before, I'm trying to not get hit. Although I'm going to blow one out there because there's another one coming up that I can't get around. And I don't want to go invincible. There. And up we go. And I messed that up, but luckily there is one mask in the death route that I can pick up. It's right there in one of those 2 crates. For whatever reason, it's not actually marked as a mask. So yeah, now I just get through this. Here you see really how much neutral slide spin helps on ice, because I'm just tearing through this death route. I play a little careful here because I don't want to hit any of these nitro. And I barely missed that stomper, which is good. And this is the end of the level. There was an entire portion in the middle of it that you skip just from doing that death route. So wait out that porcupine. I'm losing some time on this, but it's also considering the time it takes for me to do Hanging Out, as opposed to the time it takes to do Cold Hard Crash, so it's a little iffy to say if I'm actually losing time right here, and I'm bad, so I accidentally got hit, which means I still can't go to Hanging Out after this, which means I'm going to have to visit another level. I pretty much took the level order I planned and threw it out the window, because I just kept getting hit. The next on the list is Behaving, and that actually is the level I'm going into next, because there is one mask in it, and I felt I might have been able to get through it without getting hit. So this personally, this level gives me the creeps. I actually am very terrified of this level, and the reason for that is I am afraid of bees. And if the level's name didn't tip you off, there's a lot of bees in this level. This level actually, like, sometimes I have to, like, relax myself after I'm done with it. So the idea is that you're supposed to hide under the ground with the bees, so just right there. They were almost catching up with you, because they do go faster than Crash, but the neutral slide spin kind of makes that not an issue. But if you do it wrong, then yeah, right there I was going too slow, so I decided to just duck under, which cost me a little bit of time. Somehow I got really lucky and managed to hit the one bee that caught up with me, and then got over the hole before the other 4 reached me. They go away after you jump over a certain hole. So far this is going really good. And then unfortunately, random number generator decides to be a jerk, so now I still can't go into Hanging Out at the end of this level. Which means the last one which means the next level I have to do has to be Ruination, and I have to exit it with 2 masks. So this level, like the mountain-ish levels like this, I guess, they're actually really straightforward. It's just they have a lot of really annoying enemies. And that's what really makes them a challenge. This is my least favorite part of the level because you have to get through the bees, get through the nitro. Somehow I managed to hit the nitro explosion crate while going under to hide from the bees, and then I'm golden. So I managed to save a lot of time there. I do remember in my previous run I did die at the very end of behaving, and the level is very checkpoint starved. So if you die, it can hurt you a lot. Dying in general in this game is very punishing, especially in some of the later levels where there are very few checkpoints. So this is Ruination, and it's pretty much Road to Ruin if it was trying to just murder you, because it tricks you with a lot of things. Like that crate formation at like the stack of 4 that I dodged, there's a nitro behind it, and there's an exact formation like it in Road to Ruin that doesn't have a nitro behind it. So this level does just try to kill you. I tried to grab a mask there and I missed it, so I said whatever, it's not worth it. So here I'm gonna try really hard not to die. This level is really good. It's just a lot of really tough jumps, and somehow I did not fall to my death, so I was happy about that. Here is really important. Now with that checkpoint, there's only 1 mask left in the level, so I absolutely have to not get hit. Otherwise, I probably would have ended the run just because not having the extra time and hanging out was really bad, and I just barely missed that cycle, and since I'm playing it safe and I don't want to die, I'm just going to wait it out. It's worth waiting the about 5 seconds it would take for that cycle to come back around, instead of attempting to jump it, failing, and then losing about 30 seconds in this level, and then about 30 seconds of hanging out. That would be about a full-blown minute I lost compared to about 5 to 10 seconds. So I really wish I could hit the rat into the nitro box and make all the nitros of the level explode during a 100% run. For whatever reason, I can only do it during a 90%. Fortunately, I was lucky enough to get through this level with 2 masks, which means I re-rolled this run and am now finally able to go into hanging out. So I did mention at the beginning that there is one instance where going invincible is actually good. This instance is in hanging out, and you will see it when it comes up. There are actually no mask crates, or there's a single mask crate in this level. So I need to not get hit until I reach it, because it's the crate I'm using to go invincible. Decide to be a little safe here just in case. The grates go really slowly, and then you get I got the triple, and I start running normally because it's actually faster than neutral slide spin at this point. But when you're invincible and you have a mask, you just blaze through these grates, and just looking at how long this climb section is, it saves a good 15 to 20 seconds just doing that. So it's very, very helpful, and that's why entering this level with 2 masks and not getting hit is very, very crucial. I'm gonna lose these masks either way, so it's just good to blow them out like that instead of waiting for the nitro to explode. And that was hanging out. And that is the entire 4th warp room. And this next boss fight is the engine, and this is the only one that really takes any amount of skill, really. It's the only one that's a challenge, and that's just, the boss itself is not difficult, but doing it to save time is important, because there are 5 parts on Engine's mech, and you have to break all of them, and they each have a certain amount of hit points. The key to this boss fight is making 2 of them break at once. So each of the arms has 10 hit points, and each of the shoulders has 5. And if you break one of them, the other one gets a few more hit points. So that's why it's really important to break 2 at once. And I managed to barely get it. So that just took 2 bars of his health from him. This part you dodge the missiles, and like I said, each of the shoulders has 5 hit points, so I keep tracking it in my head while I was doing this run. So it's 2 and 1, and then I think it's 2-3 now. Unfortunately, I missed the last shot, so now I get to play out the other shoulder. Unfortunately, which probably loses me about 10 seconds. And he goes down here. And then it is actually possible to hit him 5 times, which is the amount of hit points before that that laser fires, but it's incredibly difficult, so I just do it in 2 runs instead. So yeah. At this point, I am 3 minutes ahead of my previous time, so I'm feeling really good. Unfortunately, I don't have as much experience with Warplane 5 as I do with the previous 4, so a lot of stuff goes wrong here. Obviously, I still clutch it out, but clearly, I'm at a 3-minute advantage, and I ended up being only 2 minutes and 20 seconds ahead of my previous run, so obviously something went wrong here. I think bear down was my only accidental death in the run so far. There's about to be like 4 or 5 in this warp room alone. That's just how badly I botched it up, but I didn't want to start over just because I was so close and I felt like I could beat my time, and I did. So this is Piston It Away. This is, in my opinion, the hardest level in the game. Regardless of if you're doing 100% or any percent, just like casually playing this game, this is probably the hardest level in the game. And I botched that up. You can usually make that slide. I did it too early, and I fell because of it. So going through all this again. And I decided not to try that again. It would be bad if I messed it up again, and I'd be losing a lot of time. Grab the crystal. And I did that too early. I gotta wait this guy out, because if I try to hit him too early, I get hit by the laser. Those guys like to push you back. Just like that, and that's where the other death happens. So that's 2 accidental deaths in this level. And you can see down at the bottom, I'm already about 9 seconds behind from both of those deaths. So it really did hurt doing this and messing it up. I probably could have been a little ahead of my time if I hadn't messed it up like that. So I lost 21 seconds in that level. So now we go to level 25, which is spaced out. This is where I lose a majority of my time. So I screw this level up hard. I attempt to do a 3D jump. What that means is that these 2D planes, these 2D levels are not actually in a 2D plane. You can pop out of it. So I was trying to do that to get around the Stomper, and I messed it up. So I just kind of got stuck where I was. This is where a lot of it goes wrong. So if you do it right, you can jump on that guy and then land above the blue portion of the screen and just dodge all the obstacles that way. I haven't been able to pull it off, but every time I've failed to do it, I just ended up back on the bottom. So I figured I'll try it here, and if I do it wrong, I'll just run through it normally. Unfortunately, I did it right when the guy hit me, and I fell into the nitro, and then I did that too early and hit that guy. So that's 2 more deaths right there. So now my accidental death is up to 5, 4 in this warp room alone. Wait this out. And you see here, like, this isn't even the halfway point of the level, and I'm already losing time. That's just how much those deaths hurt. Luckily, I got lucky with a good cycle there, though. So a neat thing about those tall henchmen is that you're supposed to slide them because, in theory, it's like the top parts of them is really hot, therefore they would hurt you. But as long as you're just in the sliding animation, if you hit them, you'll be okay. And that's actually the end of the level. This level is actually fairly short compared to Piston It Away, but I just screwed it up so bad that I ended up losing almost a minute in it. That really hurt my time. Just losing all that time in both of those levels really, really sucked. I salvaged it a little bit in these last 3 levels though. So this is Pack Attack. This is the second of 2 jetpack levels, well, the first that I'm visiting. The jetpack levels are a little strange just because the controls are not very good, but yeah. There's really not much you can do to speed them up, aside from one thing, which is another reason the PAL version is so good, and I'll get to that. And I botched that up. I wanted to save that mask, but I lived through it. I got stuck there a little bit. This is where the controls really suck. So these guys, only in the PAL version, if you hit them once, you can just run right through them. And the fire on in the doorways behind them don't actually hurt you. I guess because they didn't think you'd be able to get through them anyway. But that glitch does not work in the NTSC version, and that makes running through these levels a lot faster. So it's another reason PAL version is really good for speedrunning Crash 2. I got lucky there. The invincibility let me get through the guy anyway. And I accidentally hit the fire. And then I hit the fire again. So like this is going bad. But I felt it was still savable, so I just kept going. So I'm losing time here too, but it's not as bad as before where like here I'm only gonna lose about 20 seconds. It was worse in the other 2 where I lost upwards of minutes. Yeah, so I lost about 15, 16 seconds there. And that's Pack Attack. So now we're hitting Night Flight, or Night Fight. Night Fight is the first of 2 nighttime levels in the game, and it's the only one you visit in any percent. Everything's dark. You gotta keep yourself with a firefly. The darkness kind of makes these levels a little bit like the chase levels in that it's a lot of memorization, because you really can't see the holes until you're like right next to them. It's not as much memorization though. I admittedly do not have this level down as well as I do the chase levels, and it's something I need to work on. So these UFO guys, you can actually slide under them, like that. The idea is that I would also be like slide spinning, but I keep messing up the timing. Yeah, so the fireflies run out eventually, and ideally, by the time one runs out, you have the second one ready. managed to save 23 seconds, so that undid what happened in Pack Attack, at least. Didn't really undo what happened in Piston Away and Spaced Out, though. So this is the final level of the run, and it is Rocket. It's another jetpack level. It's the easier of the two. So you can see right off the bat, it's not nearly as, like, hazard intensive, but they do come up. This one's a lot more straightforward. At the 1 minute mark, you must be thinking, how in God's name does he do this and the final boss in a single minute? The final boss is not difficult at all. So we finished that level with at about the 22-second mark. So I got about 40 seconds to beat the boss and to get the 52-minute and 3-second mark that I said I did at the beginning of the video. Cortex is an incredibly anticlimactic boss. So this is what happens. You chase him and you hit him. It is painfully easy, and it takes no time at all. It's really just about 30 seconds, if that. I hit him, and 52 minutes and 3 seconds. And that is the run. So, thank you for watching. Overall, I would say I was satisfied with this run. I was really disappointed with the final warp room. I feel like if I had played it better, I could have gotten under 52 minutes, or under 50 minutes, if I had just done it right. There's just a lot of things just went wrong in that last warp room, but everything else, like the previous levels, they went pretty solidly. So, yeah. I don't know whether I want to attempt an any % again and improve my time, because I definitely think I could improve this time. Or if I want to start focusing on a 100% run, because I do enjoy 100% runs a lot more. Because in Crash 2, just the way the levels are set up, a 100% run, it doesn't take much more time than an any %, as opposed to like Crash 3, where a 100% run can go for upwards of 2 hours, while an any % will only go for about 40 minutes. But anyway, like, I want to do a 100% run because they also, you see, like, the entirety of most levels through a 100% run, so it shows you more of the game, and there's a lot of other really cool tricks you show off that are exclusive to 100% runs. Like, there's a way to explode TNTs without jumping on them. There's actually multiple ways to do that. It's just really cool, all the things you can do in 100% run. They're just so much harder, so I'll either try to do a 100% run, or I might try improving this time, but overall I'm okay with this time, even though I think it could be better. I do want to delve into Crash 3 a little bit, but I think I'll wait on that for a little bit. So, overall, this was a success. I shaved 2 minutes off of my previous time, and I think it's pretty good. I could definitely do a lot better, though. So, yeah. I really like this song. It's really cool. This is the only time you hear it in any %, because this is the death route music for the jungle levels, and you don't enter their death routes ever. So, yeah, I don't really have anything else to say. This is it. Thanks for watching, and see you next time I upload a run.